Have been digging into WIDA's 2020 framework and want to say that if you are at all concerned about taking the time to build discourse capacity in your class, it is so strongly aligned to the ELD framework and the indicators in the WIDA framework, and really want to dive in here. So I'm going to share a bunch of resources this month. Let's start with this one. So here we go. This is the WIDA framework 2020. So if you go all the way down to figure 2-2, it talks about WIDA and the ELD standards. This is on page 27. And so you'll see there are 5 standards. So we have ELA, math, science, and social studies. And then we have one, which is language for social and instructional purposes. So here we talk about language in a variety of situations across all disciplines, school settings, across numerous topics, tasks, and situations. And I want to zoom in here because these are some examples that we often see in school spaces. And I'm constantly talking about to build a foundation for discourse, for student-led discourse particularly. So setting class norms, this is an example, right, of how language expectations and these ELD, language for social and instructional purposes, can come to pass. So you're practicing that when you invite students to co-create class agreements, when you are establishing routines and structures, inviting students to follow procedures, asking for clarification. I love this as a discourse move. So when students are able to note where they are struggling to understand, so they're engaging in the practice of seeking to understand, and they ask the question using the language to get clarification from their peers or from a teacher, but ideally in student-led discourse, we're talking to peers. That is, that's practicing in alignment with the WIDA framework, your language. Discussing with peers, so obviously that's discourse. Relating personal ideas, feelings, and views. I love this. I always talk about circle as a format for sharing and connecting to the personal and the experiential. That's an opportunity here. So we're accessing ELD Standard 1 and exploring languages, cultures, and perspectives. This is obviously very present in social studies and the humanities more broadly, but this is a great opportunity for students to practice, again, in the framework, in the WIDA framework. Teachers and MLL educators, this is probably nothing new, but for folks who are teaching a large number of students who might be new to the language and you're wondering what WIDA is or how it integrates, I just want to show you across this series for the month, just little pockets of ways that you can integrate and touch on the standards in places you're probably already doing something, or maybe you've wanted to do but haven't figured out if you have the time for, and this is a way to rationalize doing those things.